Hey, good morning. I'm Steve Tomaszewski, and we are live with the Soldiers Family Radio and TV talk show. What an exciting day. Thank you all for being here.
Oh, we're glad to be here.
See, here, let me pull this out. You know, as I always say, Dad was Army. This is my holder there. Yay, go Army, yay. To go through it. Morning to everybody out there. Remember, if you can't stand behind our troops, we suggest you stand in front of them. Right now, we got a call from Lieutenant Colonel Aycock. So, good morning, Lieutenant Colonel. How are you today? And right down the line here, Major General Jimmy J. Welch. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Stephen. How you doing this morning?
I'm just fine.
It's a real pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, please.
You know, I got to tell your audience that when I first met you, I was really proud of the distinguished unit insignia that you have of the United States Army. I said, man, did you serve? He said, no, but I have 3 sons who certainly have, and I'm really proud of you and all you're doing for our families out here.
A little bit. Maybe we can go right down the line here and do a few introductions. Would you, General?
I'm Major General Jimmy J. Wells, and I'll let my team talk about themselves. They're great people. Command Sergeant Major.
Command Sergeant Major, welcome to Chicago.
Good morning, sir. I'm glad to be here. I'm Command Sergeant Major Luther Thomas. I'm the Command Sergeant Major for the 75th Training Division Mission Command, stationed in Houston, Texas. Whoa.
I'm going to go through it. And Colonel come
George
on in and say
Berbulis.
hey.
It's a pleasure, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Colonel George Berbulis. I'm the Brigade Operations Officer for 3rd Brigade 75th Division Mission Command. We're based at Fort Sheridan, Illinois, and we're hosting General Wells and his command team here today.
And right behind you, Captain Sheets. Captain, come on
Hi,
in and say
thank
hi.
you for
Good morning.
inviting us. Good morning. I'm
We're-
Captain Sheets, and I'm aide-de-camp to Major General Wells.
Going through it. And right next to you there.
Good morning, Sergeant Beatty.
Morning. Come on in. Come on in. Say hello to everybody out there.
Hello, everybody.
And where are you
How are
based?
y'all? I'm with the 75th. I'm with the Major General as well.
Okay. Well, come on. We're going to close.
Based out of Houston. Okay.
Okay. Just go through it. You've already been across the city of Chicago. I understand you had a great event this morning. So a shout out to our friends, Major Matt Toon, United States Marine Corps. Happy 236th birthday. Good morning, Matt. Appreciate that. And to all of our branches, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, and Reminded Merchant Marine. Get them all out
Oh,
there.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Well, Steve, did they tell you how the morning started? Then?
not really.
Well, it was a
I got a little
4:30.
bit.
It was a normal Army wake up about 4:30, and then we drove over to the assembly area, and Command Sergeant Major and I met a company of soldiers who were out there in a proper uniform, ready to do some physical training. Now, for us, it was a bit of a shock because we had just done some physical training in Houston yesterday, and it was about 75 degrees. We're here, and it's a little bit cooler, and we had a good time. And Sergeant Major stretched them all out. We went for a good, what was called the General's 100 run. Pretty exciting stuff for all of us.
What is a General 100?
Oh, you want to know the secret
Yeah, the
sauce?
secret,
Okay.
the secret.
Well, this particular event is one that I'm able to recognize soldiers within who are in the 75th Command all around this country. And as we go to different locations, we get to run PT, our physical training with our soldiers. But we do a little bit differently. We'll do a run, and then we'll do a few hundred push-ups. And a few
hundred.
Oh, I'm not talking about a few. It's a few hundred.
So I'm going to just squeeze in here and go.
Yeah, we can do one now. No, Sergeant Major
Not
keeps his
100,
eye on
what?
it. Yeah, you got to do these correctly, too, because Sergeant Major is out there with us making sure that everything is done to an Army standard. And then we'll run a little bit, and we'll do interval training. We'll do some sprints. And then we'll put heavy guys on heavy other soldiers' backs, and then we'll run a little bit. And then we'll switch over and let the other heavy guy or the light soldier carry a lighter soldier, and then we'll do that interval training. And then we'll do some bear crawls. All of this while trotting down the road at a pretty high rate of speed.
So you're doing the fireman's carry with somebody on your back.
Yes.
Running
Yep.
the General's run.
Yeah, now you can sprint about
Okay.
about 100 meters, and then we'll stop everybody, put them in a front lead and rest. That's normally what you call a push-up position. And then everyone's in a push-up position while 2 or 3 soldiers run down the road with someone on their back. And then we'll stop and get everyone caught up. And then we'll run a little bit, and then maybe we'll have them do a bear crawl for another 50 to 100 meters and let everyone catch up. But while you're resting, we rest in the front leaning rest position, otherwise a push-up position. So it's all good stuff for about an hour and a half.
I'm glad that you actually got that done before you got here.
No, we
Okay.
invited
Yeah, I know
you,
you
but somehow
invited.
something
Yeah.
got in the way.
Yeah, we're good. We're good to go through it. One of the great things as we jump right into the show here is we try to get it a little more personable. Now, I had a chance to see if I looked at it correctly. Please correct me if I don't remember right. But you actually had a position in Korea. And what I found interesting, it was something to do with nuclear and emergency, and maybe, you know, in today's military, which is all volunteer, thank you
Yep,
very much.
absolutely.
There is no problem in recruiting, and yet when people go back and start to look at what you've done, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on like this. But the one I found interesting was about your Korea experience and deployment. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, it was absolutely fascinating. When I was a young regular officer lieutenant, I took a test, and this was for language training, and I thought I messed it up so badly, but it was kind of a garbled language, and you had to try and figure things out. It's called the Defense Language Aptitude Test. And they said, you did, you know, congratulations, Lieutenant Wells. You did well enough that you win the prize. You get to go to school for another year.
Yeah.
So, but it was on the Monterey Peninsula, and I went to school
At the
out there
Presidio of Monterey.
for language training in the Korean language. And this was to assist us with convoying weapons around the peninsula of South Korea. And a variety of different weapon systems, and that's probably all I can talk about as far as the type, as you know. But these were artillery systems, and I'm an artillery officer, and this was a method for us to ensure that we work closely with the Republic of Korean Army. That the ROK Army is a strong ally of ours. It was in the 80s, and it still is today. So that is over the course of 32 years that all of that began for me personally, having been blessed with going through some very, very challenging training in the languages, and then, of course, in the weapon systems themselves, and then transferring some of that knowledge to the Republic of Korea Army. Great soldiers, and then I had a chance to be a Republic of Korea Army Ranger. And it was just as fascinating of an experience.
What would you say to a young man or woman today who's thinking about going into the military? Why would they choose the military over a private sector, coming in as an NCO or as an enlisted personnel? I mean, 32 years, thank you. That's awesome.
No, it's really not.
But what would you say to a young man or woman? Because what I find really interesting today is that it used to be the parents. I can remember sitting with my first son, and I had the person from another branch who's not in this room kept telling me, you know what, your son's going to get this, your son's going to get that. And it's not like that anymore. When we were at Chicago Auto Show, the young men and women were just coming up going, who can I talk to? What advice might you give a young person who's contemplating a military career? 32 years, that's outstanding, absolutely outstanding. But what might you say to a new person just walking up to you right now, General Wells, and saying, well, here's what I think? What would you say to them?
Well, first of all, you got to meet some very, very rigorous standards. I would question back to any individual, can you meet the standards that the military proposes today?
I like
you know, only 3 of 10 high school kids of that age, 17 to 23, only 3 of 10 are eligible, Steve.
Wow.
We can't just take someone off the street, and certainly this is not the days when the judge said you're going to go to the Army or you're going to go to the Pokey.
But you know what's interesting? Right there, we're going to stop the show right there. That imagery is still there, perception.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, now what? Yet today, you know, people even going to West Point, there's over 10,000 applicants with 4.0, 25% captains of their sports teams. Valedictorians, another 25%. Oh gosh, I forget the vernacular on it, the thing after a valedictorian, but we'll just go with that. Fighting to get into West Point. And then they're disturbed that only 1,000 or so or 1,200. And what's really, I think, awful is sometimes at any one of the academies, 100 to 200 drop out in the first 2 weeks.
Find out
And then
stuff for
here
them.
in the enlistment, you reinforce it going, well, wait a minute. Only 3 out of 10 qualify. That's a heck of a standard.
That's right.
That's a heck of a standard. And so now that they may have met your specifications and requirements, how do they actually find out in their aptitude test as they go through it, where they actually wind up? I mean, they all want to be, you know, they all want to run the tanks. They all want to be a space shuttle pilot. You know, how is the testing in their form? How long does that test take?
Well,
Go ahead, Charmaine.
They take the ASVAB test, and based on what they get on the ASVAB test, the Army has a formula of what type of occupational specialties that they'll offer the soldier, and then the applicant, rather. And the applicant will then maybe offered 1 position, he may be offered 2 or 3 positions, and then based on that, they'll make a selection, and then the career counselor will work with them on a date for a ship date to basic training, and based on the skill set that they pick, when's the next time that they'll be able to put them in a class for that.
So a lot of times, if I remember correctly, Colonel, is that they have something called a delayed entry program, and that the program that they may be looking forward to, and please correct me if I'm not right, it may not be available for 1, 2, or 3 months or 6 months, and they have to wait. Is that happen sometimes?
Exactly, and it depends on the opportunities that present themselves within the Army's ranks. It's not just immediately available, and so in that time, we still ask each and every young person to maintain their grades, maintain their physical fitness, and maintain their personal self-discipline before they enter the ranks of the Army.
And I know in the case of my eldest son, who was enlisted, Air Force, Sergeant. He actually had to wait until October, go down to Kelly Lackland Air Force Base, and then wound up at the DLI in Arabic. And then from there was pulled up, and there is a sequence for West Point, for the Coast Guard Academy, for Annapolis, for Air Force, that there are slots generated for those who enlist and want the opportunity to go to West Point.
Absolutely.
Our friend out here, we want to say hi to Lieutenant Colonel Jack Amberg. Morning, sir. West Point Society of Chicago, good friend of ours, come through here. We're going to take a short break, and Sergeant Sheets will be back with us. Sergeant, boy, I can't read that name there. Beatty. Boy, I'm getting better at this. Exciting morning here at the Illinois Center for Broadcasting. Want to say a special thanks again to our friends here, Internet Streaming Corporation. Take a look at our new calendar. Wait till you see this. This is fun. I can almost get in the shot here. Hold on. 20 new shows this month. 20. Think about that. sftvr.com. Go to calendar because it's going to come up February still and it's going to be blank. Go to March. Look at the show Call In. Loretta Palacios is going to join us for a few minutes here for Freedom to Rock in San Diego. We also have a new show coming up from Johannesburg, South Africa with Navy SEAL team Dr. Tom White, Vietnam veteran. Welcome home, sir, at our event last night. And another show coming up through the Chicago Police Department. I had it here for a second. We do a show for our friends, and it's called Brotherhood for the Fallen. Anytime that a police officer is slain in the line of duty, these young men from the Chicago Police Department literally take their car, their time, their money, their dime, drive to that place, and present a check to the family. Rick Caballero, thank you, sir. We'll be right back with the Soldiers Family Radio and TV Talk Show.